If you take a look at things that most people should be able to do or have the ability to do, and that's the ability to listen. But I think that oftentimes people take for granted the fact that listening is actually more complex than people might think or give credit for. Um, it's something that you actually got to work at, and depending on how actively you participate in it, you can be a better listener or a very poor listener. Um, there are four main categories or listening styles that people can be categorized in, and that's one of them is relational, and these types of listeners are the types of people who look to connect with the speaker in a more emotional level. Um, Another one is a critical listener. These types of people, um, like to listen to everything that the speaker has to say before jumping to a conclusion about whether they agree or disagree with what is being said. Um, the next one is an analytical listener. It's very similar to a critical listener, except for the fact that these types of people like to second guess or question the logic of the information that is being spoken to them. And the last type of listener is a time task oriented listener, where these are very practical people who, um, while you might be listening to someone for 5 minutes, they're only paying attention to maybe the 30 seconds of it because they're looking for a specific type of instructions or certain phrase or sentence that's gonna give them their answer to what they're trying to complete or trying to do. Um, with that being said, there's a lot more to listening than just the types of listeners. There's things that inhibit your ability to effectively listen, and those are listening barriers. The first barrier is a self barrier, and that's just basically right off the bat you notice that this topic is just not you, and you're not interested at all, and you notice it's not relevant to anything you want to do. So you're right there you're already selling yourself short of being able to effectively listen because you're just not interested. The next one is emotional noise. So this is when the speaker says something that kind of turns you off, and you kind of just sit there and you're like, you kind of just get hung up on the fact that they said something that doesn't really solidify with you. Another listening barrier is criticism. So you judge something that they do, whether that's a certain mannerism that you don't agree with, or maybe they're making poor eye contact, or they're talking in a monotone. You just get so caught up in the fact that they're doing too much or too less of one of these things, and it affects your ability to listen well. Um, Aside from barriers that involve listening, there are also processing barriers within the mind. One of those is processing rate. So this is the fact that your brain can process 600 to 800 words per minute, while we can only speak 125 words per minute. So this difference kind of makes it so that we process information faster than we receive it. So there's kind of a time loop where your mind kind of wanders. So that's a processing rate. Another one is information overload. So you might be receiving information from two different sources at the same time, and you're trying to focus over here, but you have some come over here. So it kind of makes it harder for you to focus in on what you're really trying to listen to. Another one is receiver apprehension, um, and this is kind of like a ironic because this is when you try to focus so hard on trying to pay attention and focus in on trying to listen to someone really well, so much so that it inhibits your ability to actually listen well. um, and don't worry if you're not a great listener right now. There's always ways to improve. um, you know something that you can do to help you listen effectively is to listen with your eyes. um, Look for nonverbal cues, look for nonverbal communication to help you kind of decipher what they're trying to say and what they're trying to portray. Another one is keep an open mind. Sometimes you you're human. You don't know everything out there, so don't assume that you know everything that they're going to say, or don't assume that what they're going to talk about isn't going to be useful to you. And then make a conscious effort, an active effort to pay attention. Don't fake it. Be in the moment and pay attention, and focus up, because that'll help you. So these are some keys to help you listen more effectively, and I hope you learn something. Thank you.